I knew it.
Orf.
He said he had a great cold open, and I knew in my heart that
There isn't any other cold open.
No, there's not. There's really not.
Stupid.
So this is not my fault.
They left us no choice.
I am a product of my conditions. Good evening, ghouls.
Good evening, ghouls.
Good evening, ghouls.
You may know by this time that my name is Alec, and in my mid-20s I discovered I was basically media illiterate. So to get caught up, I joined the Undead Poet Society ruled by Robert.
Yo.
And Becca.
Hey.
And we are doing a drive-out episode, kind of, not really. We watched this in theaters, but we haven't recorded it until sometime later. You may be aware of what it is from the cold open, and if you're not, then bless your heart. I wish that were me.
I wish so desperately.
Do you guys, I mean...
Five Nights at Freddy's is what we...
Five Nights at Freddy's, but... And I think that we're all in the same boat here, but I only know it from the memes. I've never played it, never really knew anyone that played it, or at least anyone that, talked about it.
I played, a couple of minutes of it, just, pulled it up, because, it was made, available on, through a website or something like that. The first game was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I played through a couple of minutes just to see what it was all about, and I was like, okay, this is not it for me, and I stopped playing. Not to say that it was a bad game, it's just not my kind of game. Horror games in general are kind of too linear for me, which is a shame because I'm a very big fan of horror, but something about the intersection games. Yeah, I love horror, I love video games, but something about the intersection between the two, usually the product is not something that I necessarily enjoy, unless it's horror adjacent. Dark Souls is obviously my favorite video game series, and it's very, horror adjacent. So
it's got horror themes, but I don't think it's a horror game.
No, it's not a horror game, but it, like I said, adjacent.
Yeah, for sure. So the Five Nights at Freddy movie is something that I was aware would happen for a while, and then it came out, and I don't know that I had any serious plans to watch it until one of our friends, the same one that makes us go to the Sonic and Mario movies,
you will,
made us go watch it. And so we watched it, and it was fine. I don't know how long this episode will be. I've got a few rants, but
it would have been a perfect drive out length. You know what I mean? It would have been the
fucked ourselves over.
The sound suck.
But that's fine. It can be a short episode. I don't think anyone's looking for deep commentary about FNAF.
Dive.
I mean, I guess the fucking Five Nights at Freddy goons are, because they're all about the lore of the 7,000 games that exist.
From
You're on the wrong podcast.
Yeah.
From people who have never played the game, I'm sorry. The closest I ever got, I guess I could have said this earlier, the closest I ever got to playing Five Nights at Freddy's was working for Xbox, and everyone around me... Oh, no, that's the second closest I ever got, actually.
Oh, shit. Repressed memories. She's doing the dream thing where she
the lore is coming out.
And...
Becca's secretly a Five Nights at Freddy's fan the whole time.
It was actually when I was subbing for a private school, and I was helping with a graphic arts class, the graphic novel class, and for some reason, half of the children in that class decided to make their comic about Five Nights at Freddy's, so I got all the lore from 13-year-olds.
It seems to strike in numbers. I feel like it's not just a one-person thing. It's I'm a 12-year-old, and now all of my friends and I are Five Nights at Freddy's people. You know what I'm saying?
There's a
communal
aspect
people
to
in
it.
groups.
It's one of those things that's for the outsiders, and every person going through puberty is an outsider, even though that makes none of them outsiders.
In their mind they are, though.
In their mind they are, because they've never gone through something like this. So that's why you have people who are attracted to Five Nights at Freddy's, or like the brony thing, the My Little Pony shit,
Are you
or
scoffing at
That's
the
a
bronies?
crazy comparison. That's
I
that's
mean,
fucked up.
oh, okay, but or
I don't think that's that
like
crazy.
the
of a comparison.
Slenderman phase that people were going through, or I had a Homestuck, things like that are like really on the
Salad
verge
fingers.
that most people are like, most people meaning like people who have gone through puberty and who have found a niche and who are no longer in need of that like comfort thing. Most of them kind of cringe at or think are not worth the time. They attract people who are either going through puberty or who are solitary because of like mental illness, or who just haven't adjusted to their like peers' interests. So they see themselves on the outskirts, and so they're attracted to things like that. And yeah. So basically what I'm saying is, if you are a fan of FNAF, you are awkward as fuck. And get some fucking friends. Loser.
I do
Don't
think that
know,
there
because
are
if
more
you're
than
gonna, yeah.
there's more
yeah.
than one kind. There's like the genuinely like neurodivergent looking ass like fans. Love you guys, but y'all get into some really niche interests. And then I think that there's like a spectrum before that where some people are only aware of it because Markiplier played it and there's like memes on the
Sure.
internet, and may have played it themselves and are kind of laughing at / with the former group of like really, really dedicated people, you know? And then there's like a sliding scale between those two where you just end up as like a sincere fan if you marinate in it for long enough.
I feel like I need a disclaimer, and I need to say that if you took all of what I said personally, good.
You're fucked.
And then second of all, it's because I have been there, and I was one of those awkward people who liked niche things, and it's just a normal thing. You're not a bad person for liking it, but yeah.
We need to do a recap now.
Yeah, let's do a
Yeah,
recap.
who's gonna do the recap?
I can do a recap.
I wouldn't hate doing the recap.
Go for it, Alec.
Damn. Sorry, Robert.
Oh,
Becca has spoken.
I mean,
It's
rock,
okay.
paper, scissors.
You go ahead.
I can't see you, so I can't tell like what level of irony or sarcasm this is. I'm not even really sure what the difference between those two is. Okay, or actually I can use Ableton as my 2-minute timer. So
I just think it's funny that like
there we go. That's how I know what territory we're in. What is the main character's name? Do we remember? Was it Mike?
Mike.
Freddy.
Michael! Michael!
It's only Freddy Fazbear. Orf. Anyways, the main character of our story is Mike, who is a failing security guard working at a bunch of different places. He is primarily motivated by his younger sister, who he's kind of caring for, kind of like a Nani and Lilo and Stitch type of situation. He's the guardian of like his much younger sibling because their parents have perished. So you automatically have to sympathize for him. Thank you, screenwriters. The child is in the process of being taken away from him by their aunt, whose stated motivation is that she wants the kid for like the government check that like being responsible for her will bring. I don't like, maybe I'm not enough in that world to know, but I don't think that having a whole ass kid to take care of justifies that like financially.
No.
Like
Yeah.
it's I mean,
there's
no way, right?
There's like the stereotype of like foster parents doing that, because foster parents actually get paid like a certain like amount. And maybe this isn't true everywhere, but from at least when we were growing up and when I was working with like foster care adjacent kids, foster parents get like a certain check that's like supposed to help them with costs of living for the kid. And then there's the stereotypical bad foster parent who just uses that money for themselves, kind of a thing. So they like basically farm these kids and they get all these different checks, but they don't treat the kids very well, kind of a thing. I think that's what it's kind of playing off of. It's just not the same kind of situation, so it kind of falls flat a little bit as far as like motivation goes. But it's
Yeah, whatever.
It's a children's movie.
The aunt is trying to steal the younger sister away from Mike, our hero. Mike is in a job placement career counselor type situation, which is very strange. We could talk about that later, but he is steered into this job as a security guard for an abandoned arcade slash family entertainment center. The family entertainment center becomes more it's like an off-brand Chuck E. Cheese, and the stated reason that it's still around is that like the owner is like sentimental for it, so like even though it's out of business, the owner wants to keep people out of it and like keep it around. He spends 5 nights in this location. Things start getting spookier. They've got like animatronics in there that are obviously like moving around, and other people go inside in order to trash it, and they get eaten and shit. There's this cop lady who I'm gonna rant about later, who is making it painfully obvious that there's more going on than he's aware of. Also very important for Mike's character and motivation. Sorry, this is not going to be 2 minutes. His other younger sibling, a younger sibling between himself and the younger sister that he now cares for, was stolen as a child in front of him while his family was like at an outing. So he's got this thing where he uses like specific sensory triggers and drugs in order to go to sleep and relive that memory in his dreams in the hopes that he will be able to identify the person who took his brother. So he partially takes this job because as a security guard of like a abandoned place, he can sleep on the job in order to pursue that, I don't know, that goal of his. We find out like at the end or throughout the movie that the animatronics are possessed by both the ghost and corpses of several missing children, none of which is his brother that actually got taken though, right?
Yeah.
Which, well, I guess we'll talk again. Another thing we can talk about.
So you're saying none of the animatronics are his brother?
Yeah,
Correct.
none of them were.
Correct. Yeah, none of them were his brother, but he was the one that stole his brother.
So what did he do with the brother?
Who knows?
That's a good question.
But he was he was the one that took him, but he was not one of the ones who was the animatronic, which like would make more sense. I don't know if he was, but
I don't know. Silly. The career counselor guy that positioned him into this job in the first place turns out to not only be the mysterious owner of the abandoned arcade, but is also the serial killer who abducted these children, killed them, stuffed their bodies into these animatronics, and now kind of like controls them, I guess. They defeat him with the power of friendship. The kids in the animatronics bodies are able to pass on or whatever, and Mike, our hero, is able to, I guess, keep his sister and be her guardian. I guess is more or less how it shakes out towards the end. There are a few things that I want to rant about, but that's one that I didn't realize until just now, that like all of these kids went missing. The villain guy killed them, put their bodies in the animatronics. Their spirits now possess them for whatever fucking reason. And the reason that this guy is already important to Mike, despite the fact that he doesn't know it, is that he stole his brother, but he didn't even like use his brother or like put him in an animatronic that we can tell. Like he just like kidnapped him and killed him, but like didn't treat him the same way as the other 5 kids.
I think the other, and maybe I'm like conflating like the actual Five Nights at Freddy's lore and like things that I've heard on the internet. I don't know if this is something that was in the movie. I can't remember, but I thought that the reason why he hid the kids' bodies in the animatronics was because like they had disappeared from his place, and so the police were looking for them, and then he put him inside the animatronics because who's gonna look inside the animatronics for the body?
You're right.
And
Yeah,
that's
that
when
is
that's
what
when the
happened.
kids started possessing them, and when he started like controlling them. So it's like a more recent thing, is what I'm understanding. Like he
Okay.
accidentally created these ghosts and started controlling them. Yeah.
Huh. All right, whatever. It doesn't really hold up to scrutiny, I don't think,
Well,
but
because
it doesn't have to because
those
it's a horror
kids,
movie for children.
those kids' bodies were going to be there, and so it's like I put them in the only place they wouldn't look.
When they wouldn't look, yeah.
So they were captured from the arcade. But the reason his brother wasn't in there was because he wasn't captured from the arcade. He was captured in the woods. So this guy killed kids.
So he's got a body count outside of
Exactly.
and unrelated to the arcade.
Yeah.
Which the stolen dream brother happens to be a part of that group rather than the missing arcade children group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is
All
what.
right. I think that's unnecessarily messy and weirdly complicated, but like fine. I guess. Yeah, I mean like that's I think your guys' sentiment also, right? Is like it was fine and it's a horror movie for children, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. It's like watching Goosebumps, but like for slightly older children, I think.
Mm.
And like, there's a lot of people who are children that went and saw the movie and enjoyed it because they like Five Nights at Freddy's, but they liked it because Five Nights at Freddy's was like came out when they were children. You know what I mean? So like, there's like the childhood nostalgia attached with it. So yeah, I don't know. It was fine for a PG-13 horror movie. Like there was some like
The
fucking
props.
incredible props. That's exactly where I'm going. The props was insane. The set was amazing. Yeah, they went dummy on the props.
Which they kind of, I'm glad they did because that's kind of the point of the movie, right?
Yeah.
That's the one
If
thing
you're-
that you
if
can
you're
and have to
shitty-
nail.
If your animatronics are shitty about an animatronic based franchise, like
Yeah.
you should probably have good animatronics, which they did. They were
they looked
nice.
Amazing. I can understand why some people would be disappointed. Like our friend was like, the games were about a security guard who was like watching things through cameras, and so I was expecting like this, like you're trapped in a haunted place with these killer animatronics, and like you would expect more like carnage and like more of like a Saw type feeling. But like at the end of the day, that's not the target audience for these people, so I understand why they didn't do that.
It was like a ghost mystery with like some
Which I
like
thought that
zombie
I didn't know
antics
that
at the
was
end.
actually part of the video game. Like I thought that I thought it was more sci-fi and not like paranormal.
Yeah,
I had no
it's
idea.
it's not part of the video games until like much later down the line, apparently.
the fact that there are like ghost kids in the
Yeah.
animatronics.
Because the first one is just through the security screens, like that's the entire game, and you don't start
It's a
getting like
short
more.
game, too.
It's really short, yeah. But I think Rory said like the third game is when you start getting lore, but his like the dream stuff apparently was just not part of it.
Not part of it.
Which-
And the little
Which is
sister.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I mentioned this on the drive home. Like, there's a different universe where there's a movie based on that premise, and it's a pretty good fucking movie. Like, I can absolutely see a psychological horror, in like with the primary motivation being, or the premise being like my younger brother was taken right in front of me. It was very traumatic, and now I try to investigate the mystery by using sensory rituals and drugs to relive that memory in my dreams and try to figure out a mystery that's unsolvable, and like I can see a good movie coming out of that, and especially like when the dream starts talking back to you, or like you start losing track of like
Yeah.
when you're in the dream and when you're not in the dream. Like I could see something legitimately
Unreliable
interesting
narrator
there.
type stuff.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even mind seeing fucking PETA, whatever his name is. Who's the actor?
Josh Hutcherson. I thought he did good.
No, he did a great job. I wouldn't mind seeing him in this hypothetical movie of mine. I thought that those were
He
interesting
played a very good
parts.
tortured soul.
Yeah, and that's not to say that like, oh, I wish that I'd seen that movie and not this one. This movie's fine. Like it did several things well, but it's funny to me that the most interesting thing to me was the part that had nothing, like was in no way connected to the video games. And that's not the fault of the movie or of the video games. I'm just not the target audience, you know? I'm not a part of the fandom.
What kind of killed that though for me was when the sister was like, "Oh yeah, I've been talking to him. Like,
Yeah.
I know who he is." And it's like this whole time, like, and he didn't tell you to talk to me. Like, that
Well,
kind
she
of
wasn't
frustrated
talking
me.
to
Oh, you're right.
the brother.
She wasn't
She was-
talking to him.
yeah.
But like, she was like, "Yeah, I know who he is. Like, yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen the guy's face." And like, that kind of killed it for me. That made me upset.
It's also very silly that the guy that owns the arcade has to pose as like a career counselor. You know what I mean? Like I understand the like why they did it functionally, because like you need like a reveal like at the end of the movie, I guess, like a Scooby-Doo like mask off reveal. But it just seems like
Interesting
so
that you would choose Scooby-Doo as your reference.
Why?
Considering-
Shaggy, who was the villain.
Matthew Lillard was
Oh, holy mother of shit. That is
Did you not
him, is
realize
it?
that?
Oh my fucking god, that's insane. He's so old. Oh my god.
Yep, good old Matthew Lillard, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Oh man, that makes me feel old. That guy is that old. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it feels weird that like he's a career counselor. Like,
No, I
why-
think it's purposeful. Like he's
Well,
like feeding.
yeah. For sure. Oh, he's like leading people
Yeah,
there.
But
he's like
he-
leading troubled
okay.
people to the place so that he
Yeah,
can feed
but he
the
could just
ghosts.
as easily do that by just being the arcade owner. You know what I mean? Like the reason like the meta reason is because we need him feeding people in like as security guards as victims, right? But they also need a reveal at the end, and if he was the like he could accomplish the exact same thing by approaching these people under his own name as the owner of the arcade, and then just sacrifice them later on, but then it wouldn't really be a reveal. You would just know. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't personally have a problem with it, I guess. But
It's a
I feel like it
it's
makes
an
sense to me.
unnecessary extra step that only makes sense if you want to be able to reveal yourself at the end of a movie. That I don't think would happen if this were like an actual situation with a
I don't
reasonable
see how
person
that is
trying
an
to...
unnecessary step though, because like he is specifically targeting people who are troubled that nobody would miss. And,
Yeah,
like,
but
he
you
puts
could
him in
do
a
that
position-
as just the manager. You don't need to adopt a fake identity and work a fake job.
But like it's a shut down store, and like there's no employees there. Like, why is anyone gonna trust just some random dude that's like, hey, go be
Also,
a
he's in
security
hiding,
guard?
right?
But that's the same situation though, because is he in hiding? That I was unaware of that.
I
If
think
that's,
so. That's why he goes by a different name.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because-
I feel like that makes sense. It tracks for
Because
me.
why would anyone hire or why would anyone work for the guy that supposedly killed children, even though they didn't find
well,
the
they
bodies?
still are.
like-
They just got sent there by a career counselor and not the guy
True.
himself. There's just an
I think
extra
that adds a
step.
layer of legitimacy to like the job offer that you wouldn't get from just some dude who's like, hey, come work for me.
Maybe. I don't know. It seems like a needless extra step to me, but by far not the most interesting topic for our hypothetical listenership. You know what did really grind my gears about this fucking
Oh, we're
movie
getting
was
to
the cop
Vanessa.
lady. Oh my god, the cop lady. Becca knew it.
They did her so dirty.
They did her so dirty. Like, she is the most... man, it's just so apparent when a character exists as a puppet of the narrative rather than as like a three-dimensional person with their own motivations, you know? Like at any given point, she was just whatever the script needed her to be. Like, she was like a person saying mysterious things. At other points, she was a person that like was lore dumping. At other points, she was like helping her father as like a knowing accomplice. And at other points, she was trying to steer him away from the danger. Like, you know what I mean? Like the first time we openly see the animatronics move, his sister is there and she's like playing with them. and Josh Hutcherson or whatever his name is knows that this is dangerous, but Cop Lady's like super into it. She's like, oh, come on, like let's, and then they like build like the arcade equivalent of like a pillow for it. And then when they leave for the day, she's like, if you ever bring her back, like again,
You're basically
I'll kill
killing
you.
her.
Like
Yeah, or
I'll shoot you. Like she like threatens him with murder after like giving exactly what the kid wanted. You know what I mean? Like giving the kid every reason to want.
Like you weren't this
to come
heated
back.
before. Like
Yeah. Like just no internal motivation, just whatever the plot needed her to be at whatever point in the movie she happened to be. Like, oh, I can't go back and face my father in the arcade, so you'll have to go alone in order to like put up the stakes, and then just goes anyway. Not even any real reason. Like we're not shown that anything has changed. She just like changes her mind off screen and happens to show up when another person is needed to save the main character. Like the list goes on. She's just a terrible character.
just a plot device,
Yeah, a plot device more than a person.
which is unfortunate.
Which
And
is
it's unfortunate
very
that they
unfortunate
chose,
as the
like
lead
one of the
woman.
Exactly, that's exactly what like the only woman of significance in the movie. I mean, I guess like the aunt, but she's also like a piece of shit. So
But
like
yeah,
all of
she's
the
a
women in
piece
this
of
movie
shit.
are just pieces of shit.
Interesting.
Just reflects life, you know what I mean? Verisimilitude or whatever it's called. Unfortunate. I don't really have much else to say. There's probably going to be sequels.
I don't
Did
know.
this one do well? Do we know?
I don't know.
I
if it
don't
did
know
well
if there's
yet,
going to be
but
sequels because
they kind of set it up for it though.
Vanessa's in like the last game, and they killed her. Like,
She's alive.
The police officer?
Oh, you're
No,
right,
was in
she
like
didn't
a
die.
coma thing.
Yeah.
you're right.
She's
you're
alive,
right.
and then like what's his name is still alive. Like it didn't show them killing the main baddie, so I think they've set themselves up for a sequel. If it
They
whether or
didn't?
not it happens is another thing. But
He did die.
no, they just showed him screaming as they closed the door, but didn't like show him actually dead. I feel like they left that as like
I guess. Huh.
you know like as like a maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I interpreted it as.
And even
leaving the door
going
open.
by the very silly rules of this universe, he is now in position to possess his little robot the
you're
same way that
right.
the children
Yeah.
are, right?
You're
like he's
right.
so yeah, like that could work. That could be a thing.
And I wouldn't hate if they made sequels. You know what I mean? This series and this kind of like what it comes down to. I thought it was a silly movie. I thought it was fine. It was basically free in my mind because of the movie pass. So like I have no issues with it in that regard. And if it brings other people joy, like cool, whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy if other people are happy. And it seems like the people
Yeah.
who are where this movie was intended for are very pleased with how it went down.
Yeah.
For the most part. So.
I'm so past personally shitting on people for what they like. It's like whatever, dog.
Yeah.
There's so much media. Like just get whatever bag you can. Like get that
Whatever
dopamine and-
tiny scrap of serotonin that you can scrape into your stupid little brain. I don't care.
I mean, if there's independent reasons, like if the media promotes something that I think is unjust, or you know what I mean, like if there's
Sure, yeah.
or
if there's a movie that's like a pro-Palestine movie, and it's like, okay.
Sorry, a pro-Palestine movie?
Oh, whoa. No.
Hold on. Wait.
Pro-Israel.
Robert is-
Pro-Israel.
pro Netanyahu, we have just discovered on the pod Zionist Robert.
That's,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we can rate it really quick.
Second shout out though to set and props. That like
Very good. Honestly,
this-
probably the main reason I liked this movie.
this movie
As much as I did.
exactly looked like this movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the animatronics looked and moved great. They nailed it. The like the little security room with the little cameras, the arcade in general, like the outside and the inside, just a S tier execution of a pre-existing thing. Good job.
Yeah, the visuals were great. I did want to say, I know that some people were upset about this, but I thought it was great that they didn't lead into the meme side of it, but like leaned into like the more like the actual story and the actual game. without like, and they changed things. I think I mentioned this before. I was glad that they didn't do the little arf arf thing, but that they changed it to like the fox doing the like other creepy song that it was doing. That's just one example, but I really appreciated that they did that rather than having Freddy in the dark going or because I would not have, it wouldn't have been scary, you know. So I think they did a good job with that.
Does that imply that Becca found this movie scary?
No.
I
mean, like for the children, obviously. I mean, like for the kids, like no, but you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't have been able to take it serious at all if it was
there
memeing.
Are several examples of movies like this one where the people that made it obviously hated the fact that they were making this movie. You know what I mean? And like shit on it, like or like there are other movies that adapt some sort of childhood something or other that kind of like cynically draw attention to the fact that they, like the movie makers, aren't themselves fans or in love with the source material. And it comes out pretty strong at points. And I can't say that the people that made this are like definitely super fans or anything, but it was a pretty straight shooting execution of the premise. You know what I mean? Pretty sincere.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got it rated on my list at 39, which is pretty much dead center, above Megan and below Broker.
You like this more than Megan, huh?
Simply because of the props. The props and the setting were just so fucking good.
Yeah, I can see that. I will say 53, just above the D&D movie, below Knock at the Cabin.
S tier movie, Knock at the Cabin.
It had some cool stuff going for it. It could have been such a better movie, but this isn't that episode.
I put it at 57, above Ant-Man and below E.T.
Damn. The E.T. slander.
I don't like E.T.
I hate E.T.
I actually don't even... E.T. is number 54 on my list.
Beverly Hills Cop is 54 on my list.
Damn.
Yeah, well, my list doesn't matter, so get over it.
Yeah.
Only the top 10 matter.
I don't have E.T.
Weird.
Guess gotta put E.T. on here too.
Put it on there, yeah. Where are you ranking it?
All right. I don't know. It wasn't that great. I'm gonna put it just below Five Nights at Freddy's. Not really. Hold on. Shit. Now I'm like trying to think of on this movie like retroactively.
You know how like programmed I am to like Taika Waititi is that I got on Letterboxd and there's this ad for his newest film and I didn't see his name. I didn't see anything. I just saw the colors and like the visuals and I was like, oh man, I want to see that. And then I saw a Taika Waititi film. I'm like, there you go.
Oh, the new one about
Next
like the
goal
soccer
wins.
team.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. I put it at 49, just above Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Period.
Well, ghouls, we've talked about this movie more than I thought we would.
Honestly. Truly.
Good night.
Sorry, I'm just reading and I realized that I have Prey for the Devil above Dungeons and Dragons.
Go ahead and...
Are you sure? Was that intentional?
I really disliked the Dungeons and Dragons movie, but this isn't that pod. Go listen to that episode.
You got Prey for the Devil above the D&D movie?
I've got Pray for the Devil above D&D, Cocaine Bear, Avatar, and Skinamarink.
Ugh.
But below Smile?
Right below Smile.
What?
Man.
I have Smile above Pray for the Devil, which is above Skinamarink, which is above nothing. Because I hated those movies.
I really have to watch
though,
Skinamarink, apparently.
I would watch it again on, like, fucking shrooms or acid.
I was gonna say, get high on acid in Minecraft.
Yeah.
And,
anyways, schools, we love you. Good night.